Okay. Start off with just sit comfortably in your chair. Try and have an idea of what sort of posture ideally you would like, but not forcing yourself into that. I'm forwards on the chair so that I can lean forwards, bending somewhat my weight in my feet. Just be aware that it can be particularly strong in your back. You're not used to this, so don't overlook this and all that we do in Tai Chi, the significance of the physical conditioning that takes place as we build up that. This gives you a posture where you're more supported by your feet and by your hips, which is why we tilt forward slightly so that our weight drops down and back here. You think of a square formed by your hips, your feet at the corner. I'm back here and I'm right way back. There's a slight sense of falling backwards, which is uncommon. Rubbing your hands together. And hands of your fingers tapping over your face. And then working up over your head and neck. One shoulder, your arm. Then the other side. And then up the palm touch face. Then your belly. And legs. Okay. Repeat out. Dropping back in the chair. Going back to that upright posture that I was just talking about, the idea is to create a shape, a posture, which enables your weight to drop down so that you reduce the need of the upper body to strain to maintain the weight. And with that goes a feeling that I usually refer to as releasing or softening. Chinese term is Sun. Just to give you an idea of what that feels like, if as you sit back in the chair here, just very gently kind of tense up across your hips, lower back and belly, and then slowly release that tightness. Just see how the effect that has on the body, this sense of just sort of dropping more fully into the chair. And also the effect it has right way up your back into the shoulders and down in the legs. So with the right structure, this process of releasing is very much enabled, and this leads to our weight dropping down. Although it's not so significant in the chair, that gives also a much more stable posture. So this is important to get used to this feeling. So when we come to the standing movements, you have a sense of what you're trying to do in that. So now, coming back to the upright position. And do the same thing, just tighten up around hips and lower back, pulling your belly in, and then release it. And that sense of draining down. Noticing particularly in the upper part of your body, how this sort of reveals what's happening deeper in your body, in particular this feeling in skeleton, your rib cage, your collarbones, that you're sort of dropping into that area, dropping into the skeleton, beginning to appreciate how our skeleton and the surrounding area support us from within. That awareness of that support further enables this feeling of releasing in the body, as we realize we don't actually need that tightness across our shoulders or our chest or wherever. We can afford just to let it go a little bit. So then, that sort of very much in the back of your awareness, you're going to just turn your head. Don't go too far and stop moving in any one direction before you begin to tighten up again. You just maintain the space and that fluidity of movement. And then your shoulders. Rolling around. So as we lose some of the tightness in our body, we get a greater sense of space within the body. And this allows that fluid movement. And then going forward. So we don't have to produce the flow of the movement. We do need to cultivate the conditions that allow for it. And then hands down to your sides and winding your arms. It's going through this initial series of movements from one part of the body to another. Letting the movement itself take your attention to that part. And raise your hand, like you're winding up there, and it winds up a ball of string or cotton. Shoulders, wrists, elbows, all part of the movement. Back the other way. Okay. Now, from this position, with that and a little bit of your weight, about a third of your weight in your feet, tilting your pelvis forwards a bit more, so more of your weight goes into your legs, and then you can gently push down through your feet, pushing your head and shoulders back up. So this is a primary driving force in Tai Chi, this movement of our weight from one part of our body to another, one part of the lower body to another. Specifically here, of course, from hips to feet and then back. But if you turn, then it would tend to be more toward one of the legs. And turn the other way. Notice how it feels in your leg as your weight goes in. And again, that sense of compression. Notice whether you're just for some reason or another fighting against that movement, resisting that. And then it's time to turn in the center of your body. So you swing your head across to the other foot. Do that a few times. Feeling the weight transfer now from mostly from foot to foot. And then going all the way around. So again, our weight moving between feet and hips. A major driving force moving our shoulders around. All we have to do is to maintain the structure in the upper part of the body. We begin to generate this nice smooth flow. Change direction. Excuse me. Coming back to the center and setting most of your weight back in your hips, and then step out with one foot, put the heel down, lower the toes, gently push the foot into the floor, and then come back. Planting the foot. And then try the same thing on the other side. One more time. And come back. So now just beginning to sort of combine those different movements. And to think of all of these exercises as having various components. We want each component to be able to blend with the other components, but not to totally lose its identity. So the blending process is part of this movement towards a flow in the movement. But we also want a sense of precision at the same time. Imagine you're on a walk somewhere and you've got a map and you're enjoying the scenery, but you forget to look at the map. So you don't actually know where you are. And you end up getting lost and then you think, oh, I'm lost, what do I do? And you're no longer able to enjoy the scenery. So these two apparently opposite aspects actually rely on each other. Without the flow, it's a very there's nothing to see if you like think like that. But without the structure, without the precision, it's hard to sustain the flow. So let your hands drop down to your sides, turning your hands palm forwards, just as we did earlier. We'll use that winding movement with the transfer of the weight. And forwards, and then sit back, and your hips sinking. This is bird folds its wings. Feel the movement in the chest and up the back. This time, from the forward position, letting your hands face backwards. Arms following the movement of your shoulders. And pulled forwards, and then just swing. Going back. I exaggerate slightly, but it's worth thinking. I go forward, see how my arm is left behind. As I settle into my feet, my arm swings through. Goes up a little bit, but I go back now. And again, the hand is, if you like, slightly delayed. And one of the images for this, one of the ideas that underpins this, is that we're moving in water. So if you imagine you're doing this in water, going forwards like that, probably going to leave your hands behind, but they will follow on. You get the smoothness of the movement. We do that with both hands. So fisherman cast the net. You want more of these. And then from the forward position, leaving your arms out in front as you come up. Notice how that draws your arms over. Imagine the ball underneath your arms, just rolling the ball in. And hands drop down again. Your arms swing out and then my elbows hanging down. Listening. It's time as you come back up, turning your hands palm, drawing your elbows. And vision splits experience. Noticing the expansion first of all in the chest. As you go back. And then your upper back as you go forwards. So there's lots of little sort of movements coming together to produce the big one. Small. This time leaving your hands in a position more in line with your hips, going back. Elbows go out a little bit. So again, a little bit of expansion in the chest once again. And then that contraction as you go forwards. Bring expansion in, go back. Your elbow, as you go forwards, comes in, and you notice the shape of your arm. It's as though the movement forwards pushes your elbow forwards. So try not to do this, get back and then lifting your arms. Just trust that this curved shape in the arm would tend to cause it to swing up. This is pushing one away, going from the hips into your feet, and then from the feet back into your hips. So pushing wave. One more time. This time, as you come back, don't push your elbows out, but roll your fingers into a hollow fist. As you go forwards, rotate the fist and the palm down. And back. Trying to feel that the rotation isn't just in your wrist, but through the whole of your arm. Remember when we were doing this winding exercise? Feeling the whole arm engaged. One more time. In forward position, opening your fingers, sending them out again, winding around. Settle your wrists, front of your hips, and so my hands drop down here. And I do that in preference to, if it's about here, I think what I would squeeze my hands in, that get very tight. Dropping the hands down, rotating them. This begins this process of very gently bringing them in. Now, this time, when you come back, turn your hands palm down. As you're resting on a table or on a ball, this is polishing the table. Turning, easing forward, letting your back extend, your arms extend gently, swinging across and coming back. Hips. Turn the other way. So as I say, we start to feel that lengthening through the back and spine, and across your shoulders, down into your elbows, your wrists, tips of your fingers. And positioning tape. On each side, direction. Coming back, settling once again into this basic position. The qualities, feelings, sensations that we get in this position come under the collective title of Zhongding, central equilibrium. The image for central equilibrium can be a mountain sometimes. And if you think about mountain, this kind of stronger feel that I've been trying to describe from within our body, and you know, how that affects how we hold ourselves, our general posture. So we can see that this sense of releasing of what we call soul becomes a key part of the practice. We want to maintain central equilibrium as we go through the movements. And sung, releasing, is like the way we do that. Because as soon as we tense up, we get drawn further away. Now bring your hands in this position here, as though you're now cradling the ball in, in your arms. This time, rather than alternating the movement in your legs and feet, is going to your weight's mostly back in your hips, weight's mostly forwards in your feet, and we're doing movements like this. This time, more evenly distributed, still more of your weight in your hips than your feet. And really, both feet and hips gently push down to guide this movement up through the body. Mostly, I find that the route of transmission shall be good, and it comes into your back, and then from there you feel as though your head's being pushed up, and you've got this sense of the movement spreading outwards through your body. Then bringing your hands to this position, cradling the ball here, and push up. Rest. So pushing your hips and your feet down, feeling the lengthening through your back, and your arms just being straight. So this exercise is called rooting down. Not such an obvious name when we think about the standing movement. But think about this, we initiate the movement with a downward movement to our hips and our feet. So we move from the ground, from the root of the movement. One more time. Now turn your hands out, same in your feet and your hips, a little bit different in the upper part of your body. Wild goose. The feeling of that expansion in your body traveling up as you exhale. And similarly, going forwards a little bit more here, and your hands crossed in front of your belly. Sitting back into your hips, pushing up. That pushes your elbows out and draws your fingers around in a nice space. And remember, not stretching, not going to the full extent of the movement. Leaving enough space so that this internalized flowing quality is given the chance to build. Expanding, pushing your arms upwards and outwards, contracting, drawing your arms in. Now letting your hands drop down. Now bringing your attention, your intention to one side. Once again, expanding, the arm being pushed outwards and upwards, reaching up, wind around and pull down. This is dragon plucks the stars. Switch to the other side. Wind around and one more each side. Moving slowly to allow your awareness to pick up on subtle changes of movement within the body. Now, both hands come in, round in front, and then lengthening through the back again. And that movement, push your hands up, lowering. Pushing up, feeling your back lengthening. So again, aware that for every external movement, there's always a kind of internal response, an internal echo or resonance. This time as you push out sideways, turns, and then back. And the other way. Back. And then facing. So 4 directions. You see that the movement, nice and fluid, not over moving, particularly when you turn. The turn is from your hips, lift it in the waist. Then the other direction. And then some pause. One more round. Extend one foot, just let it rest on your heel, go straighten your knee up, turn your hands palms forwards, just scoop in the seat and small. And then at the bottom of the movement, roll your fingers again into a hollow fist. Push forward, lengthening through your back, drawing your arms over, grasping the tiger's ears. Again, I exaggerate and break the movement down a little bit. I'm already going forwards here. It's like my chest is pushing forwards. And then that pushing forwards draws in, I contract, and that helps to bring the arms around. Remember, you've already noticed a couple of times in this session, there's links between what happens in your arms, having each sides of your body, in the back, and what's happening in your chest and back of that. So from the side, and I can't do this with both hands, but say I'm here, it's almost like I'm thrusting the sternum forward. This is rather exaggerated. I get to here, and then sternum withdraws, and that helps to bring my arm around. There's a lot of impetus that comes from the movement of the weight as well. And don't overlook those. And then change into the other side. Scoop in the sea, looking at the sky. And grasping the tiger's hips. Come back to the seated position. And before we do the preparation for standing, going back to this little exercise of tightening and then releasing. The way to do this in the upright position, you push your shoulders up towards your ears. You can feel the whole area of your body tightens up, and then just let them drop down slowly. You get again that feeling of unclenching, releasing. Notice, as always, when we do this, that eventually our shoulders stop dropping because they drop into the rib cage. There's that inner support. And then trying the same thing around hips, belly, lower back. This is something you're going to very much want to repeat in the standing. And then, once again, rubbing your hands together, tapping over your face. Over your head and neck. Down to one shoulder and your arm. And on the other side. Up off the chest. Belly. And ribs. Pushing your heels up. The muscles of your legs working prior to standing on them, circling around. And back the other way. Okay, standing. So trying to repeat that process of releasing in the hips and just emphasizing the fact that this is more important than bending your knees. In fact, your knees will bend a little bit, but this is what creates the rooting down. So just standing with your feet hip width apart, deliberately just sort of pull your belly in, tighten the posture, hips and so on, and then just releasing. And notice what is happening in your thighs and your knees as well. As you do this, there's a softening in the knees. If you find that in doing this, you get a bit wobbly, hold on to something for a while. You can sort out the wobbles. That's to do with your alignment. You need your weight to be dropping down into your feet. We can work that out later. It's this sense of just dropping down. Your knees get to a point where it's as though there's a ball tucked in behind each knee. And then when you get to that point, and you get that feeling of your weight dropping down and the stability that comes with that, the sense of releasing, of opening up in the upper part of your body, you release in the hips, and then you let your hips drop down a little bit more. And then pushing up. Releasing your hips. So that sense of dropping down. It's almost like you follow that movement downwards. The Chinese term for this is sung. Now, once you've got that, and once you've got an idea of what's going on, particularly you're experiencing the movements, notice whether when you go to push up, you tense up again. It's quite common to do that. You stiffen up your knees, your hips, your shoulders. And see if as you start to do that, you can again apply that unclenching, that releasing thing. So that we want this to be, as much as possible, a continuous process, rather than just something that we do every now and then. The more we can do that, the more we begin to get the sense of the flow of the movement. Because when we stiffen up, we block that flow. And in particular, it's important to realize that when we say tighten up in our knees as we come up or whatever's going on, we actually stop the legs from functioning properly. And so if we're still trying to just the flowing movement with our arms, then it's a kind of forcing pressure. And this time, bringing your hands around as though you're cradling the ball, pushing up, and then sinking down. So this quality of releasing, this quality of sung, is then integral to the flow of the movement, the sustainable flow of the movement. It's like a river flowing downstream. If there's a blockage, if there's a rock or something in its path, then it doesn't flow so easily. Those places where we tense up are like the rocks in the riverbed, disrupting the flow. And the problem then becomes if we say lose that flow in the hips, but we continue to try to flow in the arms, then we're probably adding to the tightness. We're using the arms too much. Change into the wild goose. So when we notice areas that are stiffening up, maybe your shoulders are with this one, for instance, that's when we apply the releasing. That's the intention. And then part in the clouds. One more time. Okay. Forwards. Transferring your weight again. This time the transfer is very much, of course, foot to foot. But again, it's one of the driving dynamics, one of the key ones, really, in the movements that we make. Using our feet, using our legs. That too also helps us to remain more stable, without this sense of being very grounded. Moving your weight into your back foot, raising the toes, more of your weight settling into that back foot. Then forwards, raising the heel, settling into the front foot. Beginning to root down and to align yourself over one leg rather than over two. That's why we want to move from the ground. We don't want to be leaning forwards and backwards at this point. And then stepping in. Okay. Turn the other side. So one of the qualities that one of the skills, I suppose you could say, we develop is this very intentional quality of releasing. Now, I've been really emphasizing that this session. What we want to do is to get so used to it that it happens just in the back of our mind, that we don't have to think about it all the time. It enables the rooting down and the stability. It enables the flow of the movement. So it really is a crucial element. Now, just raising the toes, the heel. If you begin to stiffen up in your shoulders, for instance, and you'll become top heavy, you'll start to lean over, and that's when we lose stability. Take your time with this, stepping in. Wear that downward movement through your body, particularly through your hips. And aware if you're actually resisting that. And again, what we would do there is look for that feeling of releasing. And then step through. And going back. Okay. Now have your right foot. Standing version of pushing past. So again, you go forward, your arm being pulled behind until you settle into your front foot, and then this, and then go. This time when you go into your back foot, turn towards your right. So you redirect the movement of your arms. Going forwards, turn your right hand swinging towards the screen. Left hand the other way. This is wind blows the winds. Expanding, contracting, sinking into the front leg and then feeling the expansion up through the back and into your upper body, pushing your arms out. Into the front leg, release it in your hips. Reduce the downward movement that in its turn reduces the upward. Okay, now, change on. So remember, releasing doesn't necessarily mean that your knees bend more. It may happen, but that is a secondary thing. As long as the knees are soft, releasing produces the downward movement. Fisherman cast net. Then changing to wind blows the willows. So this time when you come into your front foot, you can turn the front foot out a little bit to ease that. Just bring the rear foot in, or if you can go the other direction, if that's where your space is, step through. Just dragonfly skims the water. You may be able to just raise the leg. And then going back. One more time. And shake. Okay, go back to your chairs. So this quality of releasing, sung is the Chinese term, releasing, letting go, softening, relax even, is fundamental to Tai Chi, opens the door to the flow of the movement, as I've described. It is the key to actually finding that sense of stability in the rooting down. We begin to learn to apply it to all of our movements, and rather than straining against tightness and stiffness, rather than straining against the pull of gravity, we find ways to just sort of harmonize with them in a way, so that you move your arm out, it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. If we can apply that sense of releasing, we can get more movement when we do that. So, you know, practicing that exercise of tightening and releasing, becoming familiar with that quality, with that process, is a really useful thing, and really helps us to develop our Tai Chi and to build the benefits that we get from it. The increased stability, the flow of the movement, and because really we're talking about a mind-body process, it is also some that releasing quality that enables us to just sit back a little bit from our kind of thoughts and the business in our lives sometimes. You know, lots of things going on for all of us. Coming back to this sense of a calmness, a stillness is also an outcome of being able to apply song, not just physically, but it's a bit like that annoying tuning in your head, rather than straining against it and trying to shove it away. It's just, no, I'm just going to gently release. I'm going to let it go and let it fade into the background for a few minutes. So letting your hands drop down, embrace tiger, return to the mountain, pushing out, and then really emphasizing this quality of release in your arms as though they're holding the ball against your chest, elbows dropping, and down. Then we come into a rest and still point, and then beginning again. And gradually learning that song is not just a quality we apply to get that sense of quiet and settling, which is important, of course, but also something that we can apply in the outgoing movements. So it begins to affect not just those moments when we're doing Tai Chi, but actually it begins to infuse the whole of our lives this way. One more round. And thank you as always, everybody. So that was useful. And again, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email.